today we're going to finish up our story of Esther.
Esther?
Okay, so hold up this card first. Does anybody remember how we ended up last week? I know we went through. So, remember us? You were here last week too, weren't you?
I was.
Who was the gallows for? It was for Mordecai, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Haman wanted to get rid of Mordecai, and so he had the gallows made so he could have him hung. And the next day, he was going to go to the king and tell the king, "We're going to get rid of Mordecai. We want you to hang him." And so Haman was all set to go do that. So that night, Shelby, the king had trouble sleeping. Turn it so they can see it. That's a way. So, okay, you can put yours down for a minute.
no one can see it.
Well, you need to turn it around this way too so the girls can see it. The king had turned it a little bit more so Zoe can see it. Can you see the picture,
Like
Zoe?
this, yeah.
Okay. So the king had trouble sleeping, and so during the night he asked for his book of records. He had a big book like this. And one of his servants brought him the book, and he said, read me the book. I want to know what all's been going on. So he was reading down through it, and he came to the part about where Mordecai had heard the two gatekeepers, the two men that took care of the door into the palace, and Mordecai had heard them making a plot. They had a plan. They were going to capture the king and get rid of him. And so Mordecai went to Esther and told her, and Esther told the king. And so the king asked the servant, he said, "So what did we do for Mordecai? Did we do anything special for him since he saved my life?" And the servant said, "No, we didn't. Nothing's been done for Mordecai." And the king said, "Well, we need to figure out something really nice for Mordecai because he saved my life."
I get pretty. And I get pretty too.
So the next morning, the king got up and he asked, okay, you put yours down. He asked who was outside in the courtroom. And they said that Haman was there. Haman had come early because he had some important business. Yes. So the king told him, he said, send Haman in. So they sent Haman in.
I can't see.
And you see him? He's and
Now they can see.
Haman was all ready to say, "I want Mordecai to come on the gallows."
No, I was talking about Benny. I'm doing this to the camera so they can see.
Oh, not yours. We're not yet. We're not there yet. So Haman, before Haman could even say anything, the king said to him, "Haman, I want you to tell me something that we could do for somebody in the court that did something really special. How can we honor that person?" And so Haman said, well, he thought that the king was talking about him. And so the king told him, he said, wait, so, no, not yet, not yet. She is. This is next. Okay, no, wait, don't do it yet. So Haman said, here's what you should do for that person. You should get one of your robes, king, and put it on you, and one of your horses, and put him on the horse, and parade him all through the town, and tell everybody that he is special because he saved the king's life.
So now I put it up.
Yes. So he said, I want you to go and get Mordecai. And Haman said, oh no. And he was thinking, he thought it was going to be him that would get to wear the crown and the robe and ride on the king's horse. But it wasn't him. It was Mordecai, his enemy. He did not like Mordecai. He wanted to get rid of him, didn't he? And so he went and he got Mordecai and he put the robe on him and he put the crown on him and he set him on the king's horse. And then he had to walk him all the way through town.
But he doesn't
No, but Haman does. And Haman had to keep saying, to whom the king honors special privileges. To Mordecai, he saved the king's life. Oh, Haman was so upset. He was just feeling really bad. He said, I can't believe I'm doing this. So, afterwards, Haman went home. Who has Haman at home? Oh, you do. Here's Haman. He went back home. And he talked to his friends and his wife, and he said, do you know what? He said, what I had to do today, I tried to get rid of Mordecai, but it didn't work. And I had to take him through the town. It was awful. And his friends and his wife, they felt bad for him because they knew that Haman wanted to get rid of Mordecai. And he told him, and his wife said, you know what, Haman? I think you're going to be in big trouble. So he said, I think what's going to happen to you is not going to be good. So while Haman was there talking to his family, the king sent some of his servants to get Haman to come to the next dinner. Remember, Esther had invited them to dinner again? Ah, yes, there it is. There's Esther and Haman and the king. So that, turn it just a little bit so we can see it. Yeah. And so he went to dinner, and they all had something to eat. And afterwards, the king asked Esther again. He said, Esther, what can I do for you? How can I help you? I can give you even half of my kingdom if you want it. Not yet.
I want to get that one.
So Esther said to the king, he said, King, I want you to know that what would happen if something bad happened to me? What would you do? Because remember, Haman wanted to kill all the Jews, every Jew in the kingdom. And he said to her, he said, I don't know. She said, we have to do something. And the king said, well, who has done this terrible thing? Who has made this up? Who has decided that all the Jews should be killed? And she said, it was Haman. Haman did it. Well, the king was so upset because Haman, he thought, was a good guy. And the king went out of the room. He was so angry. And while he was out of the room, Haman went to the queen and tried to convince her not to let anything bad happen to him. There you go. There it again. And he threw himself across her couch. And the king came back in and he said, what are you doing, Haman? Are you assaulting my wife? Are you hurting my wife? Get off of her. Wait, not yet. So they said, come in. The king said, I want him arrested. And so they came in to arrest Haman. And the king and the servant said, Haman has made some gallows for Mordecai. And they're at his house. And the king said, take him and hang him from the very gallows that he had planned for Mordecai. And Haman died. Because of what he did.
Now my page.
Okay, almost. So, Queen Esther, yep, that's your page. Queen Esther went to the king and she told him, she said, this is what Haman had planned. He had planned for all the Jews to be killed. Don't bend my picture, honey. Don't keep bending it.
Can everybody see it?
And so she asked the king, she said, can you stop this? Can you stop all the Jews from being killed? Yes. And he told her, he said, well, we're going to bring Mordecai in here and we're going to make a new rule. And the new rule will be is that the king, that all the Jews will be able to protect themselves.
Today's the day off when we go to church.
And so the king said, bring Mordecai in here, we'll write a new law, and we're going to send it out to everybody in the kingdom. And so they put it on the messengers, And they wrote out and they sent it to everybody in the kingdom. Can you turn it just a little bit so they can see it a little bit more? Yeah, a little bit more. There they are. They're sending out the message. And it went out all over the kingdom that the Jews would now be able to protect themselves when the day came that all the people in the kingdom was going to try to kill them. I don't know. And so the king said, this is a good thing. And so when the message went out, everybody in the kingdom heard it. And they were shouting and praising. They were thanking the Lord for helping them to get out of this terrible situation. Kaylee, please come sit down.
Addie, you can't see it.
And everybody was happy. But now the Jews were able to protect themselves. And you know what happened? Some of the people in the kingdom actually became Jews because they didn't want to harm the people. Thank you, Kaylee.
That's Addie's.
And so, hold up Queen Esther. Addie, hold up Queen Esther. And turn it so they can see it. There it is. And Queen Esther, come over this way a little bit so you'll be inside the camera. Over this way. The camera's over here. Yeah, there you go. Yes. So Queen Esther was happy. All of her people were saved. That's the end of my story.
Yeah, now we can do the thing you said. Yay! I'm gonna jump the wall. Yay!